Hello, Internet! Sweaty Hewlett here on a Saturday, of all things. Yes, I woke up this morning, I was feeling hungry, and I thought instead of just throwing myself on carbs, why don't I throw myself on the torture device and actually maybe lose a little? So that's what I did. I did 40 minutes, surprisingly. And for those of you who don't know, this is a burn and learn, and a burn and learn is my bit to stay alive and fit long enough to raise my amazing son, who I just had to scream up at and say, "Turn off the YouTube, I'm trying to make YouTube." Odd parenting dynamic. He was very good about it. Love him very much. And also to enjoy the coming twilight years of my brilliant, beautiful wife, Jane. I hate exercise. I hate it more than just about anything. So I like to learn something while I'm doing it, and I like to share what I've learned with you in the sweatiest way possible, which is what I am doing today on a Saturday morning. Unbelievable. And boy, it feels good though. I've done it. It feels good only because I've done it, not while I was doing it. It was miserable. But I was sucked into the world of C# programming yet again. That was the learn part of my burn and learn today. And my mind was blown because one of my favorite things in programming is arrays. And arrays where basically are just like lists of things you can put into its own little variable, and then you can address them as you need to. And then we got into multiple, what is it called? What are they called? Like multiple arrays where you've got a list of lists. Which makes it even more complicated to code. And then the C# guy blew my mind because he introduced me to lists. And lists are this new C# thing. I don't know if it's new, but it's certainly new to me, where they have all these built-in functions, and you can just get it to sort it for you. You can do all sorts of... It basically has everything you'd have to loop through constantly doing, and picking through manually, which is where you would usually lose me. It's got all these built-in things that you can just address right away. They're just like, dot sort, and then it sorts your array for you. And it's amazing. So I can't wait to play with that. He calls it property shopping. So you go in and you write out as far as you need to get to start seeing what is available from these lists, and you just sort of zip through the properties looking and see what's available and all sort of amazing things you can do with it. So I'm looking forward to doing some property shopping with my lists. And then weirdly enough, we got into flow control, which obviously I have none of because I'm sweaty as all hell. Vaz and I were just watching Voltron, and there's a character on that who gets a... What does he get? He gets a case of the slippery. He gets a case of the slipperies. He gets like this weird glandular thing where he's sweating, and I guess that's me after exercises. I have that. It's kind of fun watching Voltron with my son now because we used to watch it as kids when I went to school. We used to, if we got in a little early, which happened quite a lot actually with me, I get very nervous about being late for things, and so I was always a bit early for school. But there was a Betamax there, and on that Betamax, people would record Voltron episodes, and we would watch Voltron in the morning. So it's for the old original, it was probably done by hand back then. In fact, it was. Of course, it would have been done by hand back then. And now they've got this, it's almost like Disney quality animation now on this stuff, and then all the sort of VFX stuff. But it's really fun to watch it with a kid, and it's still a fun show. I gotta say, I like it. There's nothing like a bunch of tigers, lions, all the lions sticking together and turning into anything that turns into a giant fighting robot, basically, thumbs up from me. I mean, some people didn't like Pacific Rim, but I loved it because that's really all it was just giant robots fighting monsters. So, last but not least, so flow control I got into. Right. Which, I should tell you what that is. So the reason why I brought that up was because flow control in C# or any program for that matter is usually a bunch of if statements, which is sort of frowned upon. People tend to use this thing called switch, which gives you a number of cases. And so if is basically saying like, if this, then do this. So if the color is blue, tell people that's your favorite color or whatever. So you have different, and if you do it with if statements, you have to keep going through and writing if statements. With a switch, you get to really just sort of write a list of things to happen depending on what you get given. So it's just kind of fun to be back on that. I feel like switch and the cases was something that was in basic programming on the Commodore. I feel like it's so etched in my memory. I remembered it so well. I can only imagine it was in that, but maybe someone could let me know in the comments whether that's the case or not. It was a Commodore 64, and I'm convinced I still remember discovering some kind of a case statement on that, and that opened up a whole world of Dungeons and Dragons programming for a lonely guy who didn't have anyone to play with. I had no one to play Dungeons and Dragons with, or I just didn't have I was trying to be too cool to actually ask anybody, so I used to write my own little basic programs, little Dungeon Master programs, and then pretend to be surprised when monsters got me. Although there were some random. I did like a random thing in there, so the random number generator would do the dice for me and stuff like that with a die. Anyway, speaking of dying, we'll die if we don't eat something, and if we don't, in order to eat something, I have to make something, which means I should go upstairs and do that. How hungry are you? Hungry. That sounds more like hangry than hungry. So I better get up there. So until we geek again, sweaty or not, preferably sweaty, because if I'm sweaty, it means I've exercised. Oh, by the way, today, before I go, I think we're going to do a live stream today. I'm hoping to do like a long live stream today because, frankly, there's not been enough time to play Fortnite of late. So we're thinking about just diving in and doing a nice long afternoon of streaming. If Bratlet does his homework, right? There you go. I'm raising a Wookiee, apparently. So, all right. So, see you maybe this afternoon. And until we geek again, sweaty or not, cheerio!